Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a game that I've really been looking forward to because I love the first title, and in my opinion, it's the best piece of Star Wars content we've gotten out of Disney Star Wars. But unfortunately, AAA releases are hit and miss, but it seems like this one is a massive miss because it is a broken mess on every single platform, and it has tanked to mostly negative user reviews on Steam. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and to the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So, starting off with this Forbes article, a major warning for Star Wars Jedi Survivor fans before you buy the game. Now, I will be playing this over the weekend. It is a game I am going to live stream a full playthrough of on the channel, and I'm still looking forward to it. I have had my hopes set very high for this title, but it does sound like it is a broken mess, which just disappoints me, but unfortunately doesn't surprise me anymore. Over the past few years, almost every major release has had bugs or glitches or crashing issues. There's just been something wrong with it on the technical side of things. And of course, that all really got bad when Cyberpunk came out. Of course, there were games before Cyberpunk that were broken and buggy. There always have been. But I feel like ever since that point, developers have found it more acceptable to just push out a game, even if it's only, 3/4 done, and then go, well, we're gonna release patches over the months and it'll be perfectly playable maybe 3 or 4 months after launch, which in my opinion isn't acceptable because game prices have gone up. If you want to charge $10 more for a title, that means it needs to be even more perfect than the state of a game when you were charging 60, and unfortunately that isn't the case. But it says, I'm in the middle of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the sequel to Respawn's excellent Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and while I'm not quite ready to post a review, I do want to post a short warning about the game. In its current state, Jedi Survivor is a performance disaster. I know there is a big patch coming at launch, which has released, and unfortunately it doesn't fix everything. But before you spend your hard-earned cash maybe noticing the game's solid 86 out of 100 score on Metacritic, you should be aware that as of right now, it is a buggy mess. And right here, this journalist highlights the problem with game journalism in a nutshell. And I am going to show off some of these Steam reviews, but looking at the Metacritic, yes, it is sitting at an 86. You can't give a game an 86 when it is plagued with performance issues. And I understand, some issues are minor. There's a lot of games that I play where there's small bugs and glitches, and I brush it off. I don't really care because it doesn't ruin the full experience for me, but there is no way a game that is being called unplayable on PC deserves something like an 80 to an 86, and there are severe, from what I'm hearing, issues on the other platforms as well. There's just no way. Meaning the game journalists are not actually including in their reviews that there's major performance issues. Classic game journalists not being completely honest. But heading back to the Forbes article, it says, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the game, and I think some TLC from Respawn, it could really be great. It's just not going great right now. I love the first game, but Respawn does have a lot of problems. Of course, most notably, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know, Apex Legends. They fix 5 things and 20 things end up broken. They can never catch up, and that is a major issue with Respawn. They don't put enough people on projects. The people they have on the projects are not doing enough work, or they're not looking at all of the issues and going, well, let's fix the most major ones. And unfortunately, in something like Apex Legends, a character, a hero, could be broken for 2-3 weeks before they release a patch, and they don't really care. So while I would hope they are going to put a lot of time and effort and put out very important patches very quickly for Jedi Survivor, they also don't have the best reputation. It says in so many ways this is a huge improvement from Fallen Order. The platforming is incredible, making Uncharted's climbing feel tame and half-baked by comparison, but unfortunately, yes, it is a technical nightmare, and heading on over to Steam, it is currently sitting at a mostly negative. As you can see, there's really not a lot of positives in sight. Even some of the positive ones are saying that there's some technical issues, but things are not looking good for this game. When a AAA title launches and it instantly hits a mostly negative and it's broken for most people, you've messed up. So far, the loading screen is pretty okay. I have no idea what it's like past the title screen because it doesn't load past that at the moment. Star Wars CPU Survivor. I completely understand that at the end of the day, developers do have deadlines, and this is partially the fault of the higher-ups at companies, rushing games out saying, you have this deadline, you have to make it no matter what. But at the same time, we have heard some reports that there are developers who sugarcoat things for the higher-ups and say, oh yes, we'll definitely be able to get this game done. So it's hard to tell if it is a developer that is a project lead that is rushing games like this along, or if it really is just the people at the very top who are, looking to make money as quickly as possible. But either way, companies cannot keep this up. People are starting to get very furious at title releases like this when you're spending $60, in most cases now $70 on a release. We expect it to run well. We expect it to be of the highest quality. And yes, a lot of titles have day one patches, and as even the Forbes article mentioned, they didn't get access to that day one patch. But even after that day one patch, which released with the game at midnight, people are saying there are still massive issues, and it's not acceptable. Developers really need to straighten out their acts and get their shit together. 5.5 hours on record, Star Wars stutters survivors. Shader compilation stutters every time something new happens on screen. Awful performance that cannot be improved through any settings changes. No DLSS support, only FSR that looks awful and with lots of shimmering. Ray tracing option is useless, gives micro stutters every second. The people who are thinking that Respawn can fix this game with patch updates are daydreaming. I think that developers can do a lot with patches, and as long as at its core it is a fun, enjoyable game, that's what matters the most to me. But it's still unacceptable that we have to look at AAA releases like this and go, oh, it finally launched, alright, so let's wait another month and a half before we play it because it's going to be broken until then. This has got a sting, but people are even saying that Cyberpunk worked better. Honestly, I didn't have too many issues with Cyberpunk. There were a few specific areas where the performance was awful, but again, the core experience is good, and luckily, CD Projekt Red has put years of time and effort into it, but the way that the game is now is how it should have launched. It should have launched in a much more stable state, and unfortunately, it sounds like Jedi Survivor also should have launched in a much better state. Again, I will be playing it over the weekend, judging it for myself, showing you all the game in case you want to save your money. You can, head on over to my live stream and watch my playthrough. But right now, the game is really buggy, it is really broken, and unfortunately, it seems like Respawn has a lot of work to put into this game, so it deserves its $70 price tag. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.